Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Charmaine with Guy Plans. I wanted to do something different this week. I've already done my setup, but I know that we're all getting ready for 2026. So I wanted to do a detailed flip through of how I use my planners, what the covers that I'm using for this month, November. Today's the 17th. I am using my Louis Vuitton, my desk cover, and my everyday carry is the personal size. And because I've been doing a lot of errands and running around this month, I was using a few of my different wallets because I do like to change my bags every day. And I had been using wallets, but because I know we're getting onto the holiday season, I want to start I have quite a few pockets of the Louis Vuitton. I think I have this one, the black, and the monogram as well, but I wanted red. I needed a little pop of color. So in this, I just carry my ID, my cards, pictures for those close to me, and just pocket envelopes because I need to be getting some cash. And I do carry my passport. I normally don't, but because of how things have been the past couple of months, I just like having it on me just in case. So I'm not going to be going through this. So I'm just going to close her up, move her over. I will do another video and do a flip through of the everyday carry. And it's just in the monogram, and the only thing I change is the cover every month. Everything else inside stays the same, so I'm going to move her over as well. I actually got this at a consignment store about 4 years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. And all of the stickers, all of the labels, everything was inside of it. I'm not sure if I did a video on it. I think I did. I'm not sure if I did an unboxing when I bought it, but I've had that for a while as well. And this cover, this desk cover, Louis Vuitton, I've had this, goodness, when I was married. So that's going back 2008. When I was married, my husband, we gifted each other, same thing, because all the money was in the household, right? I selected the monogram and he liked the checkered, the black and gray, so that was his, and we both had covers. And I like using this. I hadn't used it for many, many years. I just had it sitting in the shelf. But within recent years, I've been using her on rotation because all I do is change the covers. Even when I used the Lavender disc, I still used her. And actually, when I had put a notebook in, I kind of caused a crease, which is okay because she is very old but still functioning. So I wanted to go through, let me move some of these things over because I am not going to need them today. I actually wanted to show this clip that I found. It's a Midori clip. Not clip, a clip ruler. So it is a ruler and a clip. I went to this really beautiful stationery store I discovered in my hometown. Hadn't realized that I had been going past it for a very long time. And I found this, let me see, I need to put it against something so that you can see the design that's on it. And I have found it on Amazon, so I'll just add the link because you can't really see it very clearly because it's shimmery. It's gold and it's pretty. It's a gold matte, but it's coming off very glossy on the light. But I liked it because it's just a little clip, and it doesn't pucker. Because I've had some of them where they leave an indentation and this doesn't. But I really got this for my personal. So before I forget where it belongs, I'm just going to put her here for now. And move that back over. So I wanted to do a detailed flip through today of how I've been using my Wonderland 222 for 2025. even though I am going to be using a different brand for 2026, all of the information that's in here is still going to be used and followed for 2026. It may not be in the same order, but all of the items in here have been useful or available for when I do need to use them, even when I'm not using them as I should. So I wanted to do a detailed flip through of that. The store that I also visited, because I am a fountain pen user, you can sample the fountain pen, the inks, before you purchase the big bottles. So this one here is actually they're both oranges. Now this one here, I have been using, so I know that I've mentioned before, colors mean something. So this color here, it is wearing null. But that's it right here, this orange. Don't know if you can see it clearly. But I wanted something a little darker. So I used red for all my monthly household bills. So everything on the monthly spread has a meaning. So that was this color. And I went back a couple days ago, and that's when I found the ruler. And I also purchased another one of these Inky Dreams stickers. Oh, I just think they're beautiful, but I do want to use them. That's why I purchased a second one, because I like having things that I can use again. And oftentimes we don't use our stickers because we're like, oh, that's the only one, but I want to use them, so I purchased another one. So $3, it wasn't too bad. I could have, mentally, I just had to come to grips with it because it was just so pretty. But I don't typically like spending this much on stickers, but they're gorgeous. And the other thing that I discovered at that store, and you guys may be familiar with this, is rice paper. I was actually at the checkout and just kind of looking around. They were checking on some things for me. And I'm going to take the light off because lots of things are glowing. Oh, natural light is not bad. We're going to leave the lights off the rings today. And I'm going to move some things around. This is what I keep my pens that I'm using on my desk. I don't remember where I purchased this. It's marble and it's probably for something else, but I use it for my pen. So it's mainly all the pens that I use daily, which are my fountain pens. I use one dot. I may pick a color for a month or a couple months. But these are all the pens that I use very frequently. These two need to be removed because I was using them for something and I need to just put them back. But these are all my fountain pens. So I keep them in here. And sometimes I may put them in something else. So sometimes they may go in a vase. And I had them in here in this one for the summer months. So you could use whatever you want to hold your utensils, and that's in the bathroom, in the kitchen, everywhere. You can use whatever you want as long as it's serving a purpose, right? And you're using the things that you're buying. So this beauty right here, and that's how this started, with me moving the pens over. I want you to see the full effect. Isn't that gorgeous? And you guys in the panel community, you guys probably know about rice paper, but I just happened upon it, the colors, because I love blue. And I literally just froze in my step and said, what is that? And then started flipping through. And it's a brand, it's called Ciao Bella. You guys may be familiar with it. It's an Italian brand. And it's not something that you can just order. It has to go through some sort of wholesaler or something. But the paper is super thin. And then I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube how to use it. So the purpose of this, before I start the flip through, and let me take this out so you can see. So we're really just going to dive in and go through everything. So this is a Wonderland 222, but I covered it. And then I took, before I started using it, I took a blue marker and I just went around it because I didn't like just the stark white or beige, whatever the color was. And then inside, I covered it. This is my no fear phrase for the year. Let me bring that up a little bit. And so I cover the inside. I don't normally cover the outside. The back I didn't care about because I know that that was going to be inserted. But I just, I used the self-adhesive laminating sheet. That's what I used back here. So it's not tape or anything. But because it's in constant use in and out, you see how it creased. So I'll just probably use something to just smoothen that out before I file it away. But the reason I bought this is because I'm thinking when I get my new binder for 2026, I want to use this as the cover for the front. That's one of the ideas that I have. So let's jump in. So in the front, quotes that meant, like, really spoke to me, I write them here. And I may copy this into next year's. I don't know. I'll look at them and I'll see, okay, which ones do I want to still have in front of me that I can kind of look at for point of reference, but I'm always adding. Always adding. Then when you flip through, so when I do my planning for the year, I come up with a word or a phrase of the year, and for this year it was no fear. My dictionary meaning, my scripture that talks about or gives reference to no fear and overcoming it. Why did I choose that? And then I have some other little things that I wrote this year. I hadn't written these before in terms of alignment with growth, and just to remind us as to why I'm using this. It's my, I don't want to say my compass, but it's the word, it's the phrase for the year. So it's also the, okay, what do you need to keep in front of you? What do you need to be reminded of? Then I had my non-negotiables for this year. And these are just ideas, right? Because everyone uses their planner the way they see fit. And the reason why I wanted to do, or the reason why I've been using just one planner for the last 4 years is because I wanted to just have one place that I can document every single thing that I've done for the year, whether it be tracking my weight, tracking what I eat, what I'm doing, what I'm spending. I want this to be a true book, so that when I'm no longer here, or even when, say, 4 or 5 years from now, I want to sit back and just look and see, okay, where was my mind and what did I do in 2025? I want it to all be in one place and not in several different places. So even though I have the everyday carry, everything from here gets put in here eventually. So I don't need to save those pages, even though I do, but I'm going to start tossing them once I know my year is complete. Because I review those sheets, I add everything in here. So technically I should be getting rid of it every month, but my mental state isn't there where I can just literally dump it right away. So I'm going to give myself until I close out the year. I'm going to keep them until then. So then, let me make sure I am in frame because I want to make sure you can see the entire page. And that, I believe this is going to work. So then I have my daily mindset. And sometimes we need reminders because we're so automatic with things. So daily reminders, a daily read. Just a little, it's more of my pep talk, self-talk. I keep saying that I need to find a song that will be, that'll really get me moving too. But I haven't done that as yet. Now the other pages that were in between here, I did not need or these were the previous years, and I think these were the monthly on 4. I didn't need that, so I just glued those pages together because I didn't need it. What I was using this yearly view for is my steps. And there was an upgrade to my phone and my watch, and something went catawampus, that's my word, and it wasn't tracking it right. And some days it didn't track it at all, and some days it had no update. So then finally I had to take it into the Apple store because I'm like, something's not right. These numbers are not correct. And then it did like this massive upgrade. So it's been working perfect so far since then. So I've been tracking my steps there. Don't know if I'm going to continue to track that here, but for the past 3 years, this space was blank and I wanted to use it for something. I don't mind having blank pages, but if I can truly find something to put on a page, and since this is my catch-all, I wanted it to be here. I do have an app called Lose It and my steps are on there, but as I mentioned, I wanted to have one place to come back and look for everything. These are my goals, broken down by quarter. I did an outline in terms of what I wanted the 4 things or 5 things for me to focus on this year. And instead of me trying to pick them randomly, I went to ChatGPT and I said, here are my goals for the year. Here are the 4 things that I want to focus on. I think it was 5 because friends are in there too. And give me a guide. And it literally spit it out for me in terms of the things I needed to focus on. When I used to work full-time, I work for myself right now. So I was using this other section that had the month for like PTO when I worked from home or when I did things like that if I went away. So I was back and forth in terms of what I wanted to use that for since I left my workforce in May. And I was just kind of tracking things and wait. And so I have to figure out what I'm going to be using that section for. So I do have already December, and I should probably just put them all in, but I like to wait. I put the star down already. And I've been tracking my weight over here. I used this one page. I didn't need actually, even though I have 2, I prefer to keep like things together. So like self-care, I did January through December. Deep cleaning, not regular chores for the month, but additional things like when you do the deep dusting and the vacuuming and all those things that you do. Want to make sure I'm touching all those for the month. So I need to do some coloring for November. Notice what's not highlighted. The windows and the baseboards. Not good at all. Not good at all. I did the sliding doors. I did those in the summer. So I need to highlight that. I need to go back and see what day I did that. Then I have an overview of my daily productivity. I do track that daily and monthly. So this is really all numbers. So even I should have been tracking everything daily. And from the daily, whatever number I get for the month goes here. So this is more like the highlight of everything. So I really like this section. Whether or not I'm doing it or not. When I don't, it's okay. I'm not hard on myself. I used to be I don't like to use the word anal, but I used to be very hard on myself when I didn't do things that I was supposed to. And I'm learning to give myself grace. So I've been keeping track, whether it's 0 or not. So then we have, I used them, I believe this was 2 empty pages. I don't even remember what was under here. Or it may have been January. Whatever was here, I did not need. So my vision board is here. I printed it on vellum. And then I just taped it in, and then I just added some washi tape to the side. So this is my vision board. It does not really change unless I've hit all of my goals. And this is where I change my word or phrase. because for this decade, it's all about transformation and acceleration for me. So I just need to pick for 2026 what this is going to be. Then I have my business goals. I had it broken down the first 6 months of the year. And I believe these were the December pages, and I did not need to use it, but I was able to use the vertical lines to be in the alignment of what I wanted. And then through December. And then these are my personal goals. Same format. I just finished these are my goals that I have for myself for things that I wanted to accomplish. I need to add one, or no, I did complete that. My Intuit, I've completed the tax one class. I am doing the tax preparer class right now. And those are just some of the personal goals that I had for myself. So that was it. And then these are my things that I needed to do for my home. As you could notice, November's not over, but these things better get done because I already moved the baseboards. I don't like to use the word hate, but it's right there. And I gotta do all the baseboards. Or as my friend says, just hire somebody to come do it, so I may do that. Then I want to start looking into a metal door for my front door. I have a couple friends who have them, and I do like that. So I'm going to start doing my research there. And then we jump into the months. And in the Wonderland222, we have an overview page for the current month and the monthly view. And then it goes into the weeks. So this is where I do most of the decorating. I was doing this format where I would print out my monthly budget, all of my P&L, income and expenses for each month. And at first I was printing them here on the monthly view, but I have a different format now, the last couple of months. So I just keep track. If I do anything, I write it here. And as you know, I should be writing all of my meals on the top. That's what I use this. I prefer to use the space on the top for. This is why you'll see any type of decorating that I have done will be in this section, because I don't decorate in the daily. At the end of each month, and I'll show you better in October because I did not write my October yet. I also started tracking my sleep because I was doing poorly with that. And that was before I left my full-time job anyhow. I wanted to also see how to keep track of my no spending and my water intake. So I found other ways that I want to do that for 2026. So I'm going to play with those in actually December, 2 of the formats that I want to try. This was one of my prettiest months. I just liked, I'm not a big pink girl, but it had a lot of pink and I really liked it, which makes no sense. Then I was out of the country, and that's when I started tracking the weather. So that was really nice. And in May, tracked all of my sleep. I do have a key. I missed the key here. I do need to just go back and fill in the keys, even though they stay the same for every month. And let me show you this month here. Oh, I was just doing things a little differently to see how they would look. Okay, so June is when I started changing the format. I still had my birthdays, to-dos. I like to keep track of all those things. If I had sinking funds for this month, it would have been here. Even though there's a little bit of bleed, and that's using this. That's what's giving the bleed. So I was noticing that after kind of flipping through my planner the last couple of days, I noticed when I went back, oh, you can see the pink. So I do need to get some fountain pen ink, some ink for one of my fountain pens that I can use instead of using this, because this one was bleeding through. And sleep schedule, really like keeping track of that. As you can see, my key household is red. So household means everything monthly. Business, personal, and anything unplanned is orange. I was still tracking the weather. That's a bit of a pain because sometimes you forget. And then I think I stopped when I came back from my trip. And then I found most of the, so I do use a calendar that Catherine shares from Sterling Ink. I do print those out every month, and I'll show you where I use that specifically. But I also like looking and seeing the pretty things I can find on Pinterest. And this is one of the things that showed up on my, as a, hey, we think you might like this. And I was like, yep, love it. And I just printed it on vellum. I'm easy peasy. Also, if I see any quotes that I like for the month, I just write them in here in this overview section. And this was a good month as well. I believe this is July. I was good. I try to be good about everything. Try to be good about really tracking the meals and such. And just really documenting as much as I had. If I had a lot of things to do for that week, I would make a list of it here. I do have another place that I keep a running list of things that I need to do. I went back to old school, having just a notebook and writing everything. And then when I accomplish it, I put a date next to it, and then I put it in here. And this was another find on Pinterest. Isn't she gorgeous? I just thought it was so beautiful. And this was for August. I selected this. And I have quotes again, and then things that I needed to do for August. I was tracking my sleep, and then there were a couple days I have no idea what happened, but I don't remember what amount they were, so I just left it alone. And here is my key. And the weeks is where I do all of any type of decoration, stickers, or whatever I put in the weeks. And I change it up a lot. And live, love, laugh, and then no fear, my phrase for the year. And I truly just use this planner the way I see fit. I do have a guide in terms of what I should be using it for, but if there's a day that something hits me and I'm like, you know what, this is what I feel in the moment, I'm going to put it there. Because I want it to be a true reflection of how I feel. And then this I thought was just gorgeous. This is September. All the flowers for the month. And I am a January baby, so carnation, but my favorite flower, I don't see it here. Oh no, here they are, lilies. I love lilies. And May is my daughter's month, so go figure. But carnation, it gave me carnation. Boring. And September, and I like using the stickers. See, there's a lot of blue. There's a lot of business spending. That's why you see a lot of blue. There's a lot of traveling for half of the month. And me tracking. Lots of things I had to do this month. And then October, isn't this gorgeous? Oh my goodness. It used up a lot of ink, but so worth it. And then birthdays, important things. And back to the weekly. Nothing good. Other than that week that I missed tracking my sleep, I've been really good about it. And keep going. Enjoying my Bible study. And I have a funny joke, but I'll give that as my end of the year bleeper for what happened to me one day at Bible study. So embarrassing, but I don't have any shame anymore, so it doesn't matter. I think I laughed harder than they did. And this is a picture I had. I had it since last year, actually, because I downloaded from Pinterest. And there was another mood that I had used, but I had already printed this and I kept it because I knew I wanted to incorporate it eventually. So I used it for November. And I know I did that setup for November. This wasn't here as yet. And then I used the very thin washi. So this is 3 washies here to just give it some extra depth. Notice I didn't write my review of October, so I do need to do that today. And these are all the things I need to do this month. I have November, December are my big sinking fund, things that I pay once a year. I have really big bills for those too. My licenses and certifications and things. So I got to get half of done. I have to get the other rest done this month. Then I don't know what I was listening to, but it spoke to me. I wrote it down on a quick piece of paper and then I brought it in here. I manifest so I can be intentional about my words, people around me, goals. And this is the part that got me, I can admire without having to copy, because as you know, in the planner community, we come on YouTube and Instagram and all the platforms really, and we see people with so many pretty things, and we see people having lifestyles and doing things. And this was just a reminder, it's okay to admire, we don't have to copy. And it reminded me of one of the things I used to tell my daughter. She's 29 now, but I remember even as a child, I used to say to her, we don't care about the Joneses, and we're not trying to be like the Joneses because we don't know what the Joneses have to do to get the things that they have. So we're not going to worry about what they have. We know what we have in this house. So that reminded me of that. And one of the other things was no's and questions after the emotion, because a lot of times, especially when you're in an industry where you're helping people or you're trying to educate or trying to assist people, and when people say no to you, if you're not well equipped mentally, you can take that personal. But I was listening to a podcast or something, and it was saying, no, it wasn't a podcast, one of the women's event, and I was reviewing my notes, and it was saying, okay, there are no's, but then the question after is after the emotion of how you feel. Because the no can feel like a blow. It can feel like it's something personal. You take it personal, like you did something. But okay, once that emotion passes, here are some of the questions you need to ask yourself. Do you agree with what they said? And that can be as simple as what you're trying to share with them, what you're trying to give them. Is it something bad for them? So if the answer is no, it's something that's good for them. So get rid of that emotion. And then, why do you think they said no? Because them saying no could be a different narrative that's going on in their head. And 9 times or 9.95, 99 times, they have their own narrative going on in their head. It has nothing to do with you. So why do you think they said no? And oftentimes it's because they need more information. So why do you think they said no? And if you're not sure, ask them why they said no, because they have the answer. And this other one says, it will help you to become clear on how you are asking for what you want. And that goes back to this, right? Because if you presented or asked in such a way that made them say no, when they respond and tell you why after you've asked, then it will help you become clear on how you are asking for what you want. So if you're saying blue and white, but you're not specifically saying, would you like the blue and white paper? They may have said no when you say blue or white because they have no clue what you're talking about. But if you say, hey, Charmaine, would you like to see the blue and white paper? Then they'll give you a different response, and that's because you were more clearer. And then this one here I got this weekend. I was watching something actually, and I was like, I love that quote. And it says, never fear to deliberately walk through dark places, again, Never fear to deliberately walk through dark places, for that is how you reach the light on the other side. And that just made me pause. And I heard it, and I think I rewinded that section of the movie about 4 times. And then I was like, okay, you got to write that down. And then I wrote it in all caps because it was important. I digress. So we're in November, and here's my key. I just need to go back. Been keeping up with the sleep schedule. Red is for everything personal. Pink is red is household, and monthly bills. Pink is personal. Yellow is everything household, unexpected, because I follow very strict monthly budgets. So anything outside of what's accounted for goes in orange or one of these other colors. Okay, and this is just me reviewing. It was a busy 2 weeks ago. It was extremely busy, and then last week I was like, I am mentally fried. Look, I even gave myself a smiley face. I stayed in the bed until 12 o'clock. I didn't care. And I have already set up for this week. That's why I wanted to do a different type of flip through this week. And these are the stickers that I had purchased from Temu a few years ago. I just wanted something different. Busy morning, Bible study. Bible study is until Thursday, 6 to 7 every day. Just outline the things that I needed to do. On Wednesday, I have an appointment. You see what that's for, right? Yep. Because I want to start my end of the year. My birthday's in January, and I just really need to tighten up some things. Everything else is in order. But just need to tighten up some things. So I want a little jump start in a healthy environment. And there you have it, folks. That's it. And let me show you the rest of how I use this planner. And okay, so this is the December review. And there's a lot of blank pages, and I used it specifically. So first page here, all the tax documents that were for my 2024. Self-explanatory. I like tracking my FICO score. I was going through some changes and I wanted to track. So my credit is locked. It's been locked for about 20 years. But I do like to keep track of my score, and it's been increasing. So I've been keeping track of that. Then tracking of my monthly expenses. They are fixed. When I was working, I was keeping track of my sinking funds. And I may need to turn that around, and I can share that a little bit. So these are my monthly bills, self-explanatory, all in one place. These are my sinking funds. And this is everything through April, because once April was here, I had funded for everything for the rest of the year. So that's why there's no more funding. I knew everything was going to change for me come May. So I made sure that all of my sinking funds were funded. And that's for my AAA, all of my oil changes, having $500 for any kind of emergency repair, funding for my Costco card for the new year, paying for my Microsoft, everything that I needed to do annually. I have an LLC, so that's normally payment in April, so that was funded. So every single thing that I needed was funded. So that's what I use that for. Just for a quick view for me to see what, and make sure that everything is accounted for. Everything is paid automatically, so I don't need to go in and touch anything on the fixed expenses. They pay. Then I was tracking all of my unplanned spending, household, personal, and my business. Then what I was saving, man's job is when I had a job, my business, and this is more interest. So I've just been tracking that for 2025. I actually got that from Noelia. She tracks it in her personal agenda, and it's on 2 pages, this one right here, but I found a way to make it work for just one. This here, I'm going to personal, so I'm going to leave. That's the only two I'm not going to share. Love this picture when I saw it, printed it on vellum. This one, you're going to see her everywhere for me because I just love her. And this is how the full picture looks, actually. On my phone, on my watch, I have it cut down, but this is how the full picture, actually it's not the full picture because it opens up even more, but this is the section that I love. I just thought that she was fierce. And didn't have anything for these 2 pages, but I left them alone. I left it intentionally just in case I wanted to use it for any type of tracking or anything like that. And this is where I use Catherine's monthly freebie. And this is the A5, and I just printed, I believe, at 96%. And I put it here. So this is how I start my month, writing my dailies. And this is just a template of what I use it for. I really changed it what I am using it for now. So, but I wanted to still show you. It's the same thing I write every single day. And when I don't write it, I don't get to go back. That's the one catch. If I don't write it, I don't get to go back. In September, I did not write one iota. See how good I started, right? I had all the templates written. Did not write a thing. But the rule is, if you didn't write it, you can't go back. And then we are in, here's March. Look at that. 7 days in February, nothing. But the rule is, if you didn't write it on the day you're supposed to write it, you can't go back. And then I started doing, oh here, this is a good thing for us to review. In March, I started DR 96 with a healthy alternative. And I was just writing my thoughts and how I felt on those days while I was in the program. So everything stays the same, but I do have the additional. Where I was putting today's lessons, I've moved how I have the layout now, just really getting used to the layout and not making sure that that's what I wanted, how I wanted things to be. See, some days I write, some days I don't. Today's lesson, I am on a text thread with one of our senior leaders and a few of us ladies. She sends us like a little quote every morning at 7 o'clock. So I write that as my today's lesson. We get it Monday through Saturday. And so I write my daily lesson. Because we can learn something every single day. Look at May's. Wasn't May's gorgeous? And May was when I had to do my packing for Trinidad. So I used this front page as my packing list because I wanted it in one place. And kept I normally use my phone, but I intentionally wanted to get the paper. So I used the check-in. And I started moving my monthly P&L to this section in the daily. See, still writing things that I find that I like. Here's July. My Miracle Morning team for my calls, like we would have a little 20-30 minute chat. And I would get some things from it. So I started introducing that and writing that in there too. So it's truly a snapshot of the day for me. I normally leave the first place blank unless during the month there are things that I like and I'll come and I'll write it here, but that's for that purpose. And here is August. Isn't that gorgeous? She makes you want to be in her head and travel with her. The one thing that I did change this year as opposed to the other years was I have Saturday and Sunday on one page. Because I don't, so Sunday is my day. and any type of activity that I have to do. It doesn't need to be here because I have that accounted for in the weekly section. Let's go to, that's in the weekly section, right? So if there's something I needed to do, I can write it in Saturday and Sunday. So I don't need 2 pages. And by me condensing the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, it allowed me to have more pages in the back for other things. And I am going to end up with a lot more than I expected because there's a lot more pages in here. If I was using Thru Saturday and Sunday, I would have used up all. But I like that I changed that option for 2025 and having Saturday and Sunday on 1 page. And that's throughout the planner. See, he's still writing. This was the green ink. This is the Mont Blanc green ink, and I just absolutely love it. It is the Irish green, and it's just beautiful to me. And then we go, I'm just going to show the headers for the months because everything else is the same. And here is September. Here's September. Monday start. Isn't that gorgeous? And this was from one of the events, and I just printed it and put it. Here's October. This I thought was really gorgeous. And here is November. November. So pretty. And then I want to show you the change that I made. So the change that I made, additional change that I made, and this is from me watching Lindsay Scribbles, and I just thought that it was a fabulous idea. And I wanted to incorporate it definitely for my 2026. But as I mentioned, I'm using November and December to start bringing in any of the things that I would like to introduce to my planner for 2026, using it in November and December of 2025. So I only modified 2 things. So today's lesson is still going to stay here because when I started the year, there were, let's take a look. Today's lessons are over here. And I was writing my thoughts for this section. But what I realized is I can use the entire bottom section. So I moved this. That's the only change. I moved it up here. So once I'm done with my affirmation, there's a darker line here that separates the page into quarters. I think you can see it better here. So right under it, my affirmation will take up the entire thing. And depending on how big or small I write, sometimes it takes up more, sometimes it goes straight to the end. But then I can write my today's lesson, and they normally don't go past here. And one of the things that she has is her daily wins. And I left 2 lines for that. I started writing it in my everyday carry. So I need to go back and what I've already written here, bring into here. But I thought that was such a great thing in terms of just 1 or 2 lines for what's your win for today? What made you feel good today? What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for today? What happened today that caught your eye? And it doesn't have to be more than 2 lines. I saw a beautiful flower. Had a great interaction with someone at a store today, whatever it is. And then I wanted to start really using this, even though I haven't been, but the space is here now for my thoughts, because I figured this would be a great place instead of having an additional journal. And I was thinking of getting a 5-year journal. I'm like, no, I can use this. And when I pick this up 5-10 years from now, I can see November 17th, this was my win for the day, and these are my thoughts for the day. So that's one of the changes that I am incorporating. And a habit takes a little while to become a habit. It doesn't happen when you say, oh yeah, my habit starts tomorrow. My brain doesn't work like that. So this is a great way for me to start at least writing it down in terms of this is your thoughts or whatever you need to purge out of your brain. how you feel, how was the day, whatever your thought is, or it could even be a picture. Whatever it is, it goes here. And your daily win goes here. So the first step, writing it out. This is what I need to be focusing on. My brain is going to catch up eventually, and hopefully before the beginning of the year, where I start utilizing these two sections, because I'm bad with my affirmations now. I never used to be. I used to be extremely obsessive about it. And maybe too obsessive. And that's probably why now when I don't write it, I don't write it. But I'm going to say it every day, but I may not write it every day. And that's okay for me. And we are on the 17th. That's today. Because I wanted to record this last night. But I was like, oh my goodness, it's so dark. I want this in the daylight where the natural light comes in. And I'm so happy I waited. And then in the back, because we're doing a complete flip through of how I used my Wonderland 222. This is the A5 size, by the way. And I was just keeping track in terms of each quarter. So sweater, spring. I just happened to find these stickers and it worked out perfectly. So I just need to finish writing. I know how I felt in August and September and October. So I just need to fill those in. And just a quick snippet of how I felt for the month. And then I go into my spending. So everything I spent for the year, I write it at Amazon, anything online. Anything I spend online goes here. And I just, instead of having a page per quarter, wherever I end the quarter, I just start the new quarter. And we are up to here. I kept the espresso machine. It's those little, it's so pretty. I wish if it was in red though, because all my accessories are red, but that's what Costco had on sale. Melange Home. I thought it was a comforter. And even though I wrote duvet, because it was so gorgeous. And when I got it, I was so disappointed. So I had to return it. And it was on sale too, which really hurts my heart. But it was a duvet. And I wanted a blankie. So she went back. The only thing I'm waiting on for right now is this is a book that I actually went to the library and got it. And this is the book, When Things Fall Apart. And once I started reading it, I'm like, yep, I need this for my library. So I went onto Amazon and there was a Goodwill store that had it. I don't even know where the Goodwill store is. But it's taken over a week, and that's okay. I don't need it right away because I have the other book that I'm reading. But I like hardcovers. So this is the hardcover version. And I paid $3.60. I think I paid more for it on shipping than I did for the book. But that's going to be here either this week sometime. And these are some of my maybe items. I was keeping track of my maybe items. Be patient. In my everyday carry, but again, this is where I'm keeping everything, all of my thoughts, and so this section will definitely get moved over into 2026, but I'm just keeping it in one place because this is 2025. My Goodwill, my first drop off on 5/4, and these are the additional items. I have some other things I need to add to the list, but I need to do a drop off before the year is over. Then I started writing out my tracking ideas and to-dos for 2026. This is going to stay the way it is. Things may be moved around, but the idea of everything that's here is going to stay. And this was just me rewriting out everything, which I already do. There were some... I think I already added them in here. That was the wins and such. And because of how I'm doing it, I'm going to have additional pages. This is just information for me to have for these. And that's just one page. This is when the month closes. This is some of my professional IDs. Numbers I needed to have with me. And this was actually when I was outlining the planner, this Wonderland for 2025, I literally knew how many pages I had. So this was me as a guide, just creating what I wanted each section to be for. Some things I end up moving around, but 99% of this stayed the same. This was the guide that I created for myself, what I wanted, where I wanted it. And then that's it. And sometimes I use these little stickies for things, if there's this mark off for a section I need to get to right away. But it's not something that I use every single day or month. And that is it, folks. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but I definitely wanted to do a detail flip through of how I am using this Wonderland222 in this Louis Vuitton desk agenda. Like I mentioned, I've had this for years. Like, years is not even funny. Years. She is well over 10, 15 years old. Actually, I bought this house in 2008, and I think we got it that year. So since 2008. I do have the receipt, so I can always go back and look and see when we purchased her. But it's definitely when we moved into this home in 2008. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for reviewing how I have used this Wonderland222 for 2025. I hope it gave you some ideas as to how you can be using your planner. I don't know if you are a one planner girl or a multiple planner girl, but I hope if you are a one planner girl, that's a guy, let's be inclusive, that it gave you some ideas and how you can use yours for 2026. Don't forget, because I always forget to say this, to like, subscribe, leave a comment. I definitely want to know what you guys are using for 2026. And share so that I can take a look and see if I can get additional inspiration for how I am going to use mine for 2026. I have not received my new binder or the planner that I'm going to be using for 2026. It is a one book planner because I do like having everything in one place, because then this looks like a book and all I have to do is put it in a different cover and put her on the shelf. And if I need to reference 2025, I just pull the entire book down and I have everything here of reference. So thank you for stopping by, and I may break this into 2 videos if I can figure out how to do that. And then I will definitely do a flip through of how I am using my everyday carry. All right, guys, have a great night, evening, day, wherever you are. Bye-bye.